Imagine an entire country being surprised by a phenomenon no one expected, something that challenges the established order and shakes the foundations of society. In Iran, the shock was exactly this. More than 1 million Muslims decided to follow a completely different path, embracing Christianity in the midst of a society where this could even mean their own lives. The so-called Jesus Revolution is not just a spiritual movement. It is a declaration of resistance, of the search for freedom, and of a personal transformation that is shaking the foundations of the regime. The conversion of so many Muslims in Iran is an act of courage. When you live in a place where expressing a different faith is punishable by imprisonment, torture, or even death, changing your beliefs becomes more than a spiritual choice. It is a political act, a form of protest, and above all, a deep desire to find something more meaningful. Christianity, with its message of unconditional love and personal freedom, becomes a symbol of hope and the future for thousands who no longer believe in what has been imposed on them. You are about to discover how this transformation is happening, how even under repression, people are finding new ways to connect with their spirituality and challenge what they have always been told. It's the story of how a simple message of love can become a revolutionary force, changing hearts and minds and perhaps even an entire country. Ready to understand this Jesus revolution that no one saw coming? The past few years have witnessed a startling transformation in the global religious landscape. More than 1 million Muslims, especially in Iran, have turned to Christianity, something few could have imagined decades ago. This movement has challenged established norms, bringing a wave of hope that seems to resonate deeply with many who feel disenchanted with the status quo. The search for something bigger, for something that brings meaning and purpose, has been the fuel for this unexpected transformation. Imagine someone who, for years, lived in a reality full of restrictions and fear, and suddenly comes across a message that talks about love and forgiveness. This is the essence of what is happening. Christianity, with its promise of personal connection with God and the unconditional embrace of a new community, has offered a path that transcends the limitations imposed by the rigid laws of a theocracy. This is not just a change of belief. It is a silent revolution, something that can be felt in the streets, in homes, in churches, and even in whispered conversations of hope. And when we talk about this movement, we're not just looking at numbers on a graph. It's about real lives, real dreams. Young people who once lived in the shadow of repression are now connecting with something bigger, something that transcends the boundaries of politics and culture. And in a way, this journey is still just beginning, as each new conversion is a step towards a new chapter, where old limits begin to disappear. In Iran, the religious landscape is changing, and perhaps the clearest sign of this is the closure of some 500 Islamic schools. Zero mosques. When you look at these numbers, they are not just closed buildings, but symbols of a faith that seems to be losing its appeal among the population. Many Iranians are silently expressing their discontent with the Islamic regime, which has used religion as an instrument of power and control. And so mosques that were once centers of community and faith now sit empty. This phenomenon is not difficult to understand when put into the perspective of those who face the difficulties of everyday life in Iran. More and more people are suspicious of the role of the official religion as part of the oppressive political system. This disillusionment has led many to look for alternatives, and that is where Christianity finds its space. Unlike institutional imposition, the appeal of Christianity appears as a choice, something that one can embrace of their own free will, a place where people find a message that seems to speak directly to the heart. And that is precisely why we see this growing movement. People are not just leaving mosques, they are looking for a new spiritual home, something that truly resonates with their life experiences and longings. And so, as the sacred buildings of the past are being left behind, new communities, often underground and digital, are emerging to offer what mosques were no longer able to deliver: a true sense of belonging and genuine faith. The economic crisis in Iran has been brutal. touching every corner of society and leaving a sense of despair in the air. You know that feeling of never being able to move forward, no matter how hard you try. This is what many Iranian families have felt, and this reality is leading many to question everything they believed in. Severe economic sanctions, growing poverty, and endemic corruption have been catalysts for a new movement of faith. People are looking for a way out, for something that can fill the void left by the lack of opportunities and perspectives. For someone who has difficulty even securing their daily bread, Christianity appeared as a light at the end of the tunnel. Unlike a regime that promises change and only delivers oppression, Jesus' message brings a promise of hope that is not linked to political or economic power. The idea of unconditional love and a greater purpose in life is something that deeply touches those who feel forgotten and abandoned. It is hope that goes beyond the now, offering something that no one can take away: a sense of personal worth and a better future, even in the face of adversity. And this search for something beyond material hardship is spreading. Many are realizing that, although the economic situation cannot be changed easily, they can change the way they deal with suffering and uncertainty. By embracing a new faith, Iranians are, in a sense, finding a way to resist. The transformation is not just in the economic numbers, but in the spirit of people who, in the face of so much adversity, chose to believe in something greater. A faith that does not depend on material goods, but on a deep spiritual connection. What makes Christianity so attractive to many Iranians is something that goes beyond religion. It's almost like an escape into a new reality. The message of love, forgiveness and compassion, and a direct connection with God, contrasts sharply with the rigidity and oppression that are often perceived in the Islamic regime. Imagine living in a place where everything seems controlled, even the way you should think and feel. And then, suddenly, a message appears that says you are loved, simply for existing, that there is forgiveness available for all past mistakes, and that you can have a direct relationship with the Creator. That sounds like a breath of freedom. For many people, the promise of being able to connect directly with God without intermediaries regulating this is an irresistible invitation. The idea that each individual can be forgiven and have a divine purpose resonates with those who have long felt crushed by the pressure of the system. In times of hopelessness, when everyday life is full of challenges and uncertainties, the simple notion that there is a God who personally loves and cares for each of us brings immense comfort. And it is exactly this message that many have found in the words of the gospel. The appeal of Christianity thus becomes a kind of emotional and spiritual resistance. It's not just about changing religion, but about changing the way you see your own life and finding a deeper meaning. And this change is happening, one person at a time, in secret meetings, in discreet conversations, and even online. The search for something more, for a purpose that transcends everyday difficulties, is what drives many. And that is why this transformation has so much power, directly impacting Iranian society and beyond. In Iran, converting to Christianity is not an easy choice, and the risks are very real. The government sees a change of faith as a direct threat to its authority, and therefore the punishments for apostasy are severe and can include imprisonment and even the death penalty. However, this has not been enough to stop the growing movement. Even in the face of danger, many Iranians are willing to risk everything for a faith that offers them something the regime has never been able to provide: true spiritual freedom and hope for a better tomorrow. This repression gave rise to a network of clandestine churches, a kind of organized but invisible resistance. Underground churches and digital platforms have become refuges where people can come together, share their beliefs, and experience a communal faith. It is curious to think that, while the government tries to suffocate this movement, the attempts at repression themselves end up fueling even more the desire of many to join this cause. There is something incredibly powerful about the idea of connecting with others who share the same dreams and beliefs, especially when it happens in the shadows, away from the eyes of the regime. Digital platforms also play a crucial role. In times of censorship and control, the internet has become a channel for sharing the message of Christianity, offering spiritual support, and even organizing secret meetings. The government may try to silence the voices on the streets, but the echo of those same voices spreads throughout the network, reaching more and more people. Repression, rather than being an impediment, has proven to be an impetus for those who find comfort and purpose in Christianity to continue spreading that faith in creative and bold ways, always waiting for the next chance to connect with someone who also looks for something bigger. In the Iranian context, converting to Christianity is much more than a change of belief. It is an act of rebellion. Many see this choice as a silent protest against an oppressive system that uses religion as a tool of control. It's almost as if each conversion says to the government, "I no longer accept being controlled by your rules and your worldview." Christianity, in this scenario, becomes a form of resistance, a symbol of personal freedom and rejection of the status quo. It's not just a new faith, it's a new way of positioning yourself in the world. Politics and culture are also intertwined in this transformation. Conversions have impacted Iranian society, creating new family and community dynamics. Think of a father who has always followed the regime's strict rules and suddenly finds his children adopting a new faith that challenges everything he believed to be right. This generates ruptures in dialogues, often difficult but necessary, about freedom, faith, and what it means to have a purposeful life. These cultural changes, although subtle, are slowly undermining the basis of state control as they promote a new way of thinking that is much more difficult to regulate or silence. And it is in this environment that faith mixes with politics and culture, creating a new type of revolution, one that is not carried out with weapons, but with ideas. The conversion to Christianity becomes a starting point for many social changes, a way of seeking a fuller life, free from the constraints imposed by oppressive politics. What we see is that while the government tries to maintain control, people are looking for ways to break free. This cultural transformation could just be the beginning of something much bigger, something that is still taking shape, almost like a spark about to explode, set on fire. One of the most intriguing aspects of this wave of conversions in Iran is the role that dreams and visions have played. Many people report intense experiences in which they see Jesus in dreams, a figure who appears full of light and peace, offering a message of love and hope. Imagine the power of something like this, being in a moment of despair or doubt and suddenly having a vision so powerful that it moves you to change your entire life. These reports are common and seem to be a catalyst for a profound spiritual awakening, something that goes beyond logic or what is teachable in words. It is as if, in the midst of oppression, there was a divine intervention, speaking directly to people's hearts. For many, these dreams are a confirmation that the Christian path is the right one, a kind of personal invitation from Jesus. It's not just about hearing about faith from others, but about experiencing something so intimate and profound that the decision to convert becomes inevitable. For these people, the experience is so real that despite the risks and challenges, they feel they cannot ignore this calling, no matter how dangerous it may be. And these stories spread from person to person, creating a network of living testimonies that continue to grow. The impact of these visions goes beyond the individuals who hold them. They share these experiences in secret meetings, nurturing the faith and courage of others. Each vision is like a seed planted in fertile ground, ready to blossom and bring new hope to those who often felt trapped in a rigid system with no way out. There is something almost magical and inevitable about how these experiences are transforming lives and planting the possibility of a new reality. So after learning about this journey of transformation in Iran, the only thing left to ask is, how can you transform your life? What these millions of people found in Christianity was a way out, a light in the midst of darkness, but above all, a courage to take the first step towards something greater. And you, what have you been looking for? What are the limits you need to challenge? Maybe the change you need starts with a simple but meaningful decision. Think about it. Isn't it time to look at the things that hold you back and seek a new perspective, a new way of living? It doesn't have to be a radical change, but perhaps just a different choice. A step towards something that makes you feel more connected, more fulfilled. If what you read here inspired you in any way, how about allowing yourself to learn more about it? Ask questions, seek answers, and go beyond your comfort zone. And if you want to continue learning more about these topics and understanding how these transformations happen in the world and in people's lives, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. This way, you will always be in the know. And who knows, maybe you will find the missing spark to change your own story.